welcome to Wednesday in the Word. This is a look through the Bible where we look at each book of the Bible. And this week's book is the book of
Ruth.
So Philip, why don't you tell us a little bit about the book of Ruth?
It is the love book in the Bible. You see the beauty of marriage, the beauty of love. You see all these. This is the book of love. That's all I got to say. And the word that we had talked about before about this book, and I think it's a good word for this book, is loyalty.
Yeah.
You see Ruth's loyalty in so many directions in this book. You see it, there in the beginning, she's already lost a lot. Her mother-in-law's lost a lot. Lost her husband and her sons, and Naomi Naomi did, and then Ruth lost her husband too, and that would be very difficult. But you see extreme loyalty, and that's our passage that we will talk about. But before we get there, I just want to we'll talk about a few other things. Is Ruth leaves her hometown to go follow Naomi. Ruth goes to a place she has no idea who's there, what it's going to be like. But the Bible, and Ruth talks about how she was a woman of noble character. Yeah. She had extreme character, and she's out basically trying to provide for her mother-in-law. Mm-hmm. So she goes and gleans the fields. Yep. That was a practice that, this is how God would take care of the poor. Yeah. This was something that was instituted. God did amazing things in the Old Testament to provide for those who weren't able to get food or things like that, through the crops, things like that. So she would go gleaning, which she'd pick up the things that had fallen on the ground. Those types of things. And the farmers were pretty good at not dropping, a lot of stuff. Yeah. They wanted their crops, that type of stuff. And, but she does, and then Boaz kind of gives her a look. Like, oh man, I like this girl.
Dude, it's funny because it almost reminds me of how I met Ashley.
Yeah,
it's like, dang, who's that? What's her name? I wasn't picking up no corn or soybeans or nothing, but I was like, oh, who's that? Yeah. And then someone told me, her name, and I was like, well, shoot. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens here in this story. Boy's like, what? Who is that? And they tell her, this is the, daughter, basically, the daughter-in-law of Naomi, and finds out, okay, we're related, we have some sort of relation with Naomi. And, that's an awesome piece. And he likes her so much, which is a cool thing. He likes her so much, he tells his farmers, drop a little more. Yeah. Give her a little bit more. Make sure she was well taken care of. She's taking tons of stuff home to Naomi. And Naomi was like, what the heck? It's happening.
Like, this must be terrible farmers, man. They're getting fired here.
What is happening? Yeah. So basically, Naomi's like, you need to talk to this guy. And, they do a little thing, put a little perfume on, some things like that. Kind of the things we do today a little bit to a certain degree. But something we don't do today is the practice that they would do is they would lie at the feet of a man, an interesting
Speak for
thing.
Yourself. That's where Ashley sleeps. Yeah. Just right there, tucked on there. Like, Ashley, my feet are cold. Go lay down there. It's like, okay, no problem.
Yeah, man, that had to be stinky back then. They probably didn't wash their feet.
Yeah, I still don't today. Yeah, I hear about it every morning.
Yep,
every morning. Yeah, Ashley's like, I wouldn't mind doing this if you washed your feet. Like, well,
it is what it is.
They want everything, I tell you.
Yeah, they do. But it's a cool piece, and then a funny part. That's why you should read it. It's an awesome book. There's a funny part in this book where she comes in, lays at his feet. He doesn't know about it, and he wakes up in the middle of the night. He's like, "Oh, there's a woman!
What is that?
There's a woman laying on my feet." Yeah, man, that'd freak me out too. Right. Even if my own wife was laying out, I'm like, what the heck was she doing last night? And so that's a really cool piece. And then you see this term called a guardian redeemer, and that's what Boaz is. But he says Boaz was a godly man. He wanted to make sure he was obeying the law. Yeah. And there was one guy who was more closely related, more of the guardian redeemer than he is. But he wanted to go by the book. So he talks to the guy. They exchange sandals, which is another weird thing. Again, read it. It's a cool little piece. And they get married at the end. And the cool part about this is you read about Jesse, you read about Boaz, you read about David, all in the lineage of Jesus Christ. All these guys, and Ruth is even mentioned. And that's a cool piece as well. That that Ruth, being not a Jew, would come into this family, and a Gentile woman, and now be a believer in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And then you had, like what we talked about in Joshua, a prostitute, a Gentile prostitute, come to the faith of God. Huge piece. But why don't you read, Phil, Ruth chapter 1, 16 and 17 for us?
16 says, "But Ruth said, 'Entreat me not to leave you or to turn back from following after you. For wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts you and me.'"
Wow.
Loyalty is what you said earlier, and wow, what a woman of awesome, godly character, that she's saying this to her mother-in-law, that I'm going. It's not going to be, I don't want to be where you're not. And I think we have that same relationship with Jesus Christ. I don't want to be anywhere that you're not.
Yeah.
We I think take for granted sometimes that, Jesus is that person that we should have the same attitude. The one person that we should have this same attitude towards. Lord, use me. I'll give myself away to allow you to use me, or go wherever you've asked me to go, do whatever you asked me to do. And even you look at our brothers and sisters in North and Central Africa right now, even unto death.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll follow you, because it's that important to us, and it should be. And obviously we have a little bit different view because we're Western Christians and American Christians, and we might never face that persecution. But Ruth's saying, I just want to go where you're going. I just want to be where you're at. And with following Christ, it ought to be the same character, the same loyalty to Christ as she has towards her mother-in-law.
She saw the character of Naomi, the godly woman. And I like how she says there, how she says, where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. But then she says, your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Yeah. That's an amazing piece. That Naomi would have the witness of just the way that she lived, the way that she probably talked about God, the way she, maybe she shared stories with Ruth about how awesome that God is. And then she would come to say, I want your people to be my people, and I want your God to be my God. And that's a huge piece. And I think that's an encouragement to us to live our lives in a way that would reflect Jesus Christ. Yeah. That maybe your friends or your family would say, I want to go where Phil goes. Yeah. I want to go where he goes, and I want his God to be my God, because I see how his God works and how awesome that his God's actually God. Yeah. A God that can really do something, and he does every single day.
And I guess it begs the question that if Naomi was not following, do you think Ruth would have this same yearning or wanting? I don't believe so. Not, yeah. I don't think that she would want to follow. There's something that, even when I met Ashley, there was something different about her that I had never experienced, and it was her love for the Lord and her wanting to follow Christ, and it was different for me. And I don't think that we would be married or stayed married if it wasn't for Jesus. You know what I mean? I don't think that. Well, we wouldn't. The foundation would be different, but. There's something desirable about somebody who is following the Lord. There's something different about the way that they choose to live their life and the way that they see things and what they let affect them and how they, we still have flesh, but there's something. I think desirable is the best word when you see something and you want something, not a bad jealousness for having what they have, but a want for it, and. Now, Ruth is like, hey, whatever you have, however you choose, I'm going to do it. Yeah. And she makes that commitment and makes that choice. And look at the rest of her life. Yeah. How she's blessed from that moment on. And she doesn't go without. She finds an awesome husband, an awesome godly husband, and they live happily ever after. Yeah. It's a fairy tale. It's awesome. But it's not.
It's real.
It's real.
Yeah.
It's the truth that God's word can carry you into a life that you never thought that you would have if you only submit to His will.
And I think it's a huge thing with marriage in general. It's a good book to look at as a married couple. There's a humbleness there on both parties.
Yeah, I would say.
But you even see Ruth coming at the feet of Boaz. That's a humbleness, to have. And it's just cool to me to see that this like reflection of how marriage looks, and it can look that way when two people are following after God, following after His will. You're blessed.
Yeah.
You're blessed not only individually, but you're much more, I think, blessed in your marriage.
Yeah.
When both of you are following the way of God, when you're saying, God, as us, as one in the flesh, where you go, we're going.
Yep.
Even if maybe we don't, even if we're scared, we don't really want to, we know it's going to be best for us, we're going to go there. That's the attitude we should have.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Phil, give us your final thoughts about the book of Ruth.
How do I want to say this?
With words.
Yes, sign language even. If you are following Christ for who He is, and you have that understanding of, in a context of marriage, Christ, husband, wife, and you have that falling into order, and you have that order, awesome things are going to come. It's not to say that you won't face bumps along the way. It's not to say that life is going to be perfect, but it's going to be a life worth living and a life pleasing to God, so that when you get to heaven and you have that face-to-face meeting with Him, He's going to say, welcome home, well done, my good and faithful servant. And I think this is a story that the way that Ruth, Boaz, and Naomi chose to live their lives is a pleasing, sweet aroma to God, that they have something, He's smiling at them. And this is a great book to read through and figure out, okay, how can I make my marriage better? How can I make my relationship with God better? And surround myself with godly people who want the same thing. Just as Ruth said in 16:17, basically, whatever you do, I want to do it too, because of Christ in your life. So let that foundation of whatever you're doing be built on Christ, and see where it takes you.
Yeah. Absolutely. So this has been a look through the Bible. Tune in next week where we talk about the book of 1st and 2nd Samuel.
Yeah,
that's going to be a nugget to chew on.
There's a lot there.
But story of David.
Yeah.
David. That will be a great one for us to talk about. So don't forget to tune in. If you did like this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe, share it on Facebook, all those things that we love for you to do all the time.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you guys doing it. And as always, thank you for listening to Kingdom Faith.
We'll see you guys next Wednesday.